Good day, welcome to Nuuspod, and I have with me the leader of ActionSA, Mr. Herman Mashaba. Welcome to Nuuspod, Herman.
Thank you so much, Isaac, and really appreciate this opportunity.
Herman, ActionSA, it's a brand new party. What's different?
Well, different in the sense that this is the only party in the history of this country not born out of anyone's ambition. It's a project that started on the 6th of December 2019. We launched it as a people's dialogue. We wanted a dialogue and a second CODESA driven by ordinary South Africans, because the first CODESA pre-1994, we now experience how it actually benefited the politicians and left civil society out. So the idea behind the people's dialogue was to engage South Africans so that we can discuss as ordinary South Africans what kind of South Africa we envisage and we want. And it was a 3 months intensive program that resulted with reaching up to 33 million South Africans. Ultimately, 2.4 million of those people then gave us the mandate to start ActionSA with the birth of this party, as you're aware, on the 29th of August last year.
There's a lot of interest in your party, if I interpret my friends on social media correctly. And what is clear is that there's also a lot of interest from white South Africans. Is that your experience as well?
Well, I think, Isaac, if anyone can actually talk to me along racial lines, it actually would be a deep insult, because this party that we formed called ActionSA, it's a party, if you look at our core values, the first one of the core values is a non-racial society, the building of a non-racial society. I've got a mandate from 2.4 million South Africans committed to non-racialism, and not non-racialism in terms of talk, in terms of actually the actions. Because I can tell you, my grandfather taught me early stage of my life to actually believe what people do than what they say. I've got to listen to them like we engaged in the people's dialogue, but ultimately judge people about on their act. And one thing for sure, when we're saying we committed to a non-racial South Africa, we actually mean it. Then it will be an insult. And I always take offense to anyone expecting South Africa, expecting ActionSA to display any sense of racialism. We want and are committed to building a truly non-racial South Africa.
I understand that, but the reality is that white and black voters in South Africa tend to show different expectations when it comes to elections. And there's always talk of, how are you going to win the black vote? How are you going to win the white vote? And it is in that sense that I'm asking the previous question and also the next question. Do you have a plan on focusing on the so-called black vote?
Well, Isaac, our focus is not on racial votes. It's we are focusing on South African voters. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, Indian, and colored. We are focusing on South African voters, and race becomes secondary. So our primary target and focus is on South Africans, and fortunately enough, they are a majority. We are a majority. You will see when we go to the polls. We're confident that South Africans are going to really demonstrate that we are first South Africans before I can be white and black or white or any other color. We are first South Africans, and that's really what ActionSA is committed to do, to build a non-racial, equitable, fair society.
Herman, there are critics that say that that ActionSA just copied and pasted the DA's
Let me come in to help you here, Isaac. I think any critic would really want to still associate me with the DA will also be an insult, because I actually left my successful career in business, thinking and hoping at the time that DA was committed to building a non-racial fair society. And I'm sure you're aware the reason I left the DA, because DA proved beyond any reasonable doubt that firstly, they are not committed to unseating the ANC. And that's really one of the primary existence of ActionSA, is to unseat this criminal enterprise masquerading as a political party called ANC. We committed to this, and DA is not committed to this. I fought for 3 years while I was the mayor, including DA actually conniving with the ANC to remove me. So, you know, I mean, for me, was one of the biggest insults ever when the party I gave up my life for connive with the criminal syndicate, so-called ANC, to remove me because they thought, I don't know what they thought about me. So I think from a DA point of view, DA is not committed to the transformation of South Africa. DA, I can tell you, look, I'm not a spokesperson. It is up to them to really decide what they envisage for this country. But I'm a living example. My lived experience, it's not really a pipe dream. It's something that I experienced over the last 3 years, and ended up saying to the DA, you know what? My relationship with you is water under the bridge, and I'm committed. And whether DA likes it or not, we are committed to unseating the ANC, because the ANC, as far as we are concerned, it's a criminal enterprise masquerading as a political party.
Let's talk about your party's participation in the elections. Where are you planning to contest the elections?
Well, so far, as you are aware, we've committed to contest 4 municipalities, metros, that is Johannesburg, Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, and eThekwini. Those are the 4 metros already committed. That's why the whole of today, I was all over the 3 metros in Gauteng, and Dr. Makosi and our national person, Mike Bowman, were in eThekwini, launching the biggest voter registration campaign ever undertaken since the dawn of our democracy, because the ANC is not interested in voter education, because as far as I'm concerned, ANC is committed to ensuring that Black people remain poor and uneducated. So we as ActionSA, you can imagine we're a party that has never participated in elections before. One of our biggest investment, the first biggest investment, is on voter education. And you can follow social media platforms to see where I've been. I mean, I started this morning in Sandton. I live in Sandton, went to Alexander. From Alexander, went to Captain Park. From Captain Park, I went to Tembisa. From Tembisa, I went to Pretoria in Sunnyside. From Sunnyside, I went to Atteridgeville. Just half an hour ago, I was in Centurion with a group of South African, Black and white, 2 young white kids came to give me flowers for the work that ActionSA is doing. You can follow this on social media. For me, was one of those humbling experience, and really they made my day with the last project for the day. So I'm exhausted physically, but mentally charged up to save this country from the ANC.
Interesting that the analyst Wayne Sussman recently wrote a piece on the 4 big metros. In the sense of coalition politics, he gives opposition parties a chance in Tshwane only, a slim majority in Johannesburg, and then also in Ekurhuleni for the ANC. How do you see?
It is, Isaac, I read that article a few weeks ago, just over a week or so ago. I can tell you if that's what we call analyst. It's actually, it is a trajectory. It is a shame that someone would really call yourself an analyst and come out with such analysis. I don't know what is basing this analysis on hopefully on the by-elections that just recently happened, where we never really participated. I don't really know how ActionSA would actually feature in his life, because we've never participated in any elections. For him to really do a desktop analysis like this, unfortunately, I read that, and the following morning in the meeting, in my executive meeting to my team, I said to them, it is actually a tragedy to his profession and the analyst profession, because it's not based on any scientific evidence, but that's his own interpretation. But fortunate enough, the 27th of October, it's around the corner, and we will demonstrate as ActionSA that we are not a force to be taken for granted. If anyone takes us for granted, they will do it that at their own peril.
You threw in your hat for a mayor of Johannesburg, means that you are very hopeful of winning Johannesburg. The ANC got 45% in 2016, and there's a possibility that they would also stay under 50% in the coming election. But there is the factor of President Cyril Ramaphosa turning the ship around. Do you see that will play any role in the ANC's campaign in Johannesburg?
Isaac and your listeners, if anyone thought ANC had a hiding in 2016 local government elections, wait until the upcoming one. That's why they're so scared. They're doing everything possible to postpone these elections, because they know they cannot really face the electorate any longer. They've run out of lies, because ANC survives on lies, being trained by the Soviet Union during the dark days of mankind's history. So they're still holding that Soviet type propaganda lies. And right now they've run out of lies. They don't know what to tell the electorate. The only thing that is left of the ANC is to try and hold on to power by postponing the elections. And that's something that we as ActionSA will never allow, because we live in a constitutional democracy. We don't live in the Soviet Union type an arrangement or in a monarch. We are going into the elections, and if ANC would really achieve 30% in these three metros, it'll be a surprise. So they must actually pat themselves in the back and have a big party if they can get 30% of the vote.
Talking about coalitions, there's a possibility that you could be a decision maker in Johannesburg at least. Who will you collaborate with, and who not?
Well, at local government elections, we would go into, obviously, I think we're not into these elections for coalition, but in the event that the voters so decide, because we've got to accept and respect the democratic outcomes. As long as elections are free and fair and the voters have put us into a coalition, one thing that I want to unapologetically let the voters know that we will go into a coalition with all the other parties except the ANC. And the reason why we'll not go into a coalition with the ANC, because we regard them as a criminal enterprise. We'll go with anyone else as long as it's not the ANC. If in the event that the only way you can form a government, we have to co-opt the ANC. I can tell you, we will ask we will ask the voters that we go for a rerun.
South Africans are really, really tired of corruption, structures that are just going down the drains. Do you have any definite plans and promises to make to voters?
Well, I think if you look at the campaign that we launched today, you know what is called you heartful of the politicians, because I can tell you, this it's we debated this with my team for the last few weeks, and we decided to actually use heartful, because heartful, by in a South African context, it says to you that you've reached a level where you cannot tolerate something any longer. South Africans are hurtful, are tired of corruption, are tired of ANC lies. They are tired of seeing high unemployment. They are tired of inefficiencies and cadre deployment of ANC in the civil service. So we really tired, and I think we're calling on South Africans to say, please, let us ensure that we bring a peaceful transition to our democratic dispensation. Please ensure that on the 17th and 18th of July, make sure that every member of your family, everyone in your street, in your inner circles, are registered to vote, because what happens is ANC is not in power because ANC is a popular organization. ANC is a dying organization, rural for that matter. That's why they lost all them in the big metros, and they're going to lose even further. And right now, with them not having food parcels and line to the voters, that's why they're going to really be punished. Voters anyway, you can be in Alexander, you can be in Sandton, you can be in Bloemfontein. People are hurtful. And I'm one of those South Africans that is actually quite hurtful with the ANC, and we will use our constitutional framework to remove them from power in as many municipalities as possible, and we will finally put them into our history books in 2024. And I can assure you that is going to really happen. ANC come 2024, my grandchildren are going to read about them in the history books, because ANC's existence is dependent, the glue that's putting them together is corruption and state resources. Once you can take the state resources from the ANC, they will all scatter all over. And that's what we're going to do to them in 2024. And we will start that journey now with the local government elections.
Let's make you an analyst for a moment and let you write an article in response to Wayne Sussman's analysis. What would you predict for the three metros that you are involved with for this coming elections?
I think, Isaac, it's too early. There's still a lot of work to do to convince the voters to go and register to vote. Because when you have a country in big mess, the ANC has put us in, and people stay away from voting. So right now, as I've just indicated to you, I went on a massive campaign of voter registration. So I think it's still too early, because our primary target is to convince the 18.3 million people who stayed away from voting. Half of them did not even bother to register. So we're on a massive campaign to really get these voters to go and register to vote. And once they've registered to vote, we will then obviously have an idea of where things are. So let's talk about this a month away from the elections. Right now, I think our responsibility is to ensure that we can get South Africans realize the potential of using that democratic instrument, which is their vote, the most powerful, to remove the ANC. And we give them hope. And us as ActionSA, with that party that's giving South African hope to say, please, your vote is the most important tool you can use in killing this virus called ANC. So talk to me in a month before the elections. Right now, it is time to really go out there and say to people, please go and register to vote. And once they've registered to vote, then a month away from the elections, so let's talk. But one thing I can tell your listeners and all South Africans, that ActionSA is not in this game to be in opposition. ActionSA is in this game to be the government.
Thank you very much, Mr. Herman Mashaba, leader of ActionSA. Thank you for making time for us.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
All the best.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Verkeersboetes behels meer as 'n klein ongerief met minimale gevolge. Jy kan 'n kriminele rekord kry of probleme teekom as jy jou rybewys of motorlisensie hernie en die metropolisie kan jou by padblokkades lastigval om die boetes te betaal. Fines for You vir minder moeite met verkeersboetes deur hul te monitor en vinnig, wetlik en effektief af te handel sodat jy nie die ongewenste gevolge hoef te dra nie. Ons spesialiseer in groot vlote en streef daarna om jou geld te bespaar. Kontak ons gerus op 011 867 7331 of besoek ons webtuiste by www.finesforyou.co.za.